Hey, I'm Truman with Park Tool, and today we're going to be talking about some chunky, clunky hubs. So, I've got this newer hub here. This one's new, black, fresh out of the box, kind of nice. And then we've got this one taken apart here. What's special about these hubs is, one, they have braking inside of them. Both of these have coaster brakes. So as you pedal forward and then you pedal backwards, it stops. Classic coaster brake, found on youth bikes, found on cruisers or clunkers and things like that. So these hubs, this hub is the internals from here. These are what are referred to as two-speed kickbacks or a kick shift hub. So both of these hubs have two gears. One gear is direct drive. So as the cog turns one round, the hub shell turns one time around. And then they also have one more gear. This one came out of this wheel, and notice it has a red band. So this is a red band Bandix, and pretty classic, very sought after hub. This has an underdrive. So you've got your standard 1-to-1 gear, and then you kick back and you start pedaling again, and it gives you an underdrive. So every time the cog goes around, the hub shell only goes around maybe 70%, somewhere around there, maybe 270 degrees, instead of a full 360. Or then there's ones like this one. This one has an overdrive, and this is a 138%. So every time you turn the cog, the hub shell turns an extra 38%. So you will be able to go faster with this hub, but you could maybe climb hills easier with this hub with that second gear. So let's get into the heart of it. How do these things work? I've not delved into these too much. I'm far from what I would consider an expert on internally geared hubs or two-speed kickback hubs, but both of these work similarly, but also slightly different from one another. First, let's check out what we have going on here. So here we have our Bandix internals. So I'm going to kind of start from the outside and work our way in a little bit, pointing towards what's going on here. So we have this outer cone axle. There's a lock nut in here. I'm not going to disassemble this because there's a lot of little pieces and it would take some time to show you. So it is important to tell you there's a planetary in here. And what a planetary is there's a gear in the middle, and that's surrounded by some small, what are called intermediate gears or spider gears. And those gears then drive an outer gear, a big ring gear on the outside. And so what you can do with that is if you hold the middle and hold the outside and spin the middle one, it'll turn at a different rate than if you were to hold the outside one and let the other two spin. So what we're doing here is kind of exercising how a planetary works. And so when you're pedaling forward on this, you'll notice that these two rings, this ring here, drive ring, this drive ring here, they're turning two different speeds. This one that's closest to the cog is turning the same speed as the cog. So this is our 1-to-1 ratio. This secondary ring is actually being driven slowly. So every one of these turns, I only go about 270 degrees with this ring. So how does this hub know when to engage which one of these drive rings? Well, in here, underneath here, so if we're driving along, riding along, right now it is in underdrive. And I pedal backwards. Then I pedal forwards. Now, this ring is engaged. Very, very small change has happened. This ring got closer to our planetary, which basically engages this drive ring on the inside of the hub shell. Then if we do this again, pedal backwards, forwards, notice this gap here that wasn't here before. That gap disengages this drive ring, and then it allows this drive ring to engage. So that is kind of how this works. And in here, this small band has these little spacers on it and little, basically almost pawls that kind of engage on that. And then as you move, they don't drive anything. They just allow this ring to get close or not close. So that's kind of how this works. A little bit more intricate, pretty cool hub. The brakes work, you pedal backwards. There's some helical cut gears in here and here. And when you pedal backwards, it engages on here, compresses this clutch pack, and this clutch pack basically creates friction that causes heat. That heat then it slows it down. So that is kind of how this hub works. Pretty neat. Now, we have this newer hub. This is a Sturmey Archer S2C, available today in silver and black, a couple different configurations. Pretty neat little hub, very durable. This hub comes apart from the non-drive side. So I'll pull these lock nuts off, pull this cover off here. And inside here, you'll notice there's kind of the bearings for your hub and some engagement. This brake works a little bit differently. So we'll pull this out and I'll kind of show you that. So in this hub shell, you can see this side is where the braking happens, right in there. There's a bearing race there, and then there's a place inside here where pawls engage. And then on this side, this is where the drive side bearing, this one right here, that one rides there. So just like this. And I'm gonna kind of start where we ended on this hub. This piece here is our brake. When you pedal this backwards, basically this expands into the hub body, and the hub body will then allow it to create heat, friction, slowing it down. So that's how the brake works. Now we've got another set of pawls here. These pawls are always engaged. So this is your 1-to-1 set. Every time I pedal this, those go around one time. Then there's another set of pawls in here, and those are directly connected to the planetary. This second set of pawls in here, right in here, these pawls are where the action is. This is what's giving you your 2-speed. Let's see exactly what allows those to work. So we can see our planetary here. I turn this axle, and the axle has a gear on it, and that gear is driving these, and those will drive this gear. And this gear has this set of pawls on it. What's interesting about this set of pawls is that they ride on, we would call it kind of a ratchet ring. A pawl rides on a ratchet ring. But notice this is low, this is high, this is low, this is high. So when you install these pawls on there, notice how right now the pawl is proud of this ring. Now, so forward it's being driven and it would engage in the hub shell. Backwards, now it hit the next ratchet on that ring and it's now hidden, so it's not engaged. Basically, when you pedal backwards, this is what happens. this engages, and then, oh, next time you pedal backwards, disengages. Engages, disengages. Over and over and over and over and over again as you propel yourself forward on your bicycle. So that is basically how this works. This is your main drive mechanism with your standard 1-to-1 gearing on it. It is also the driver for your brakes. So in here, basically this gets driven with the axle all the time, 1-to-1. This is always engaged. So when this set is engaged, this set is moving slower. So it'll just be going constantly. And that's where you get the click, 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 even while you're pedaling, because this is being overcome by these. This brake works a little bit different. To spread that ring out, we've got these roller bearings. They go in here. And those roller bearings are on a small wedge. Those wedges, when you pedal backwards, it is then driven and they push out onto this ring. And then being pushed outward on this ring then causes the bike to slow down. And that is how this whole thing works. Now this hub is mostly back together here. We can see this set of pawls engaging on the hub, pedal backwards, get to the point, engages. Now this set of pawls is engaging into the hub shell. And that is how a Sturmey Archer S2C hub works, as well as a red banded Bandix hub. Kind of simple yet complex machines. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you guys next time.